Well, happy Halloween, and it is the morning of October 31st, 2021, and I shot a doe this morning. It's the second deer I've shot in the morning on Halloween. The first one was a nice buck years ago on some public land, and that worked out well, and this looked like a good shot. It was a real short hunt too, because there were deer in the food plot, and so I waited till they cleared off before I went in, and then got into my blind, and within 2 minutes there were deer coming back into the food plot within 2 minutes of getting in the blind. So it's one of my shortest hunts. There was a time years ago where I shot a buck bow hunting, and I climbed up in the stand. I was still putting my release on when he came through and I shot him. So probably my second shortest hunt, but the shot looked good. I've given it about an hour. I'm going to go look for the arrow and then go look for the deer. Well, it is the morning of November 1st, 2021, and yesterday, Halloween morning, I shot a doe in the winter rye field that's behind me, and I thought the shot was good, but I sat in the blind for about an hour, give the deer some time, and then went and checked my arrow, and the arrow didn't look all that amazing. So I waited another 3-4 hours, and then I picked up the trail, and where it stood at the edge of the field there was some decent blood, and I started trailing it, but it got, it's in the pines, and those pine needles are difficult to find blood on oftentimes, just because the blood blends in so well with the brown needles and it can get underneath them. But as I was trailing it, I ended up kicking up the deer. So I backed out yesterday, and the deer was bedded. I saw it bedded, and it didn't want to get up, but then it did, and it seemed to run away with pretty good strength. So I waited overnight now, and now I'm going to go look for it. We did have just a little bit of snow last night, some frost on the ground, so the snow didn't stay, and it wasn't much, but I don't know how much blood we're going to find today, so it might turn into more of a grid search, and maybe even seeing if there are any other animals in the area and such, because we got coyotes, wolves, and bear here, and if given the chance they would all utilize that deer. But hopefully I can find it and recover that deer today. So that's my mission this morning. It is cold, and that's one of the reasons why I felt fine leaving it overnight, because it got cold last night, and today it's going to be plenty cool too. So we'll see if we can find her. Well, here she is. She was bedded up in that thicket when I kicked her out, so she didn't make it too far. And by the looks of it, she basically ran over here and died. So she went about 40 more yards after I kicked her up. And it looks like something got a hold of her, but not coyotes, I'm guessing birds. But meat's still going to be good. We'll get her cleaned up and get her home. Well, here she is. And looking at my exit hole, my entrance hole, wasn't bad either. I'm really still surprised that I kicked this deer up yesterday, and that was about 4 hours after I'd shot it. So, these are some tough animals. So it's November 1st. There's actually been a few flakes of snow coming down, and there were a few yesterday as well. And it kind of reminded me of the buck that I shot 30 years ago during the Halloween snowstorm here in Wisconsin. And we ended up pulling that thing out with a snowmobile. So this was a little easier to deal with, but I'm happy I recovered her, and we'll get her skinned out and butchered excuse me, and in the freezer.